Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere and earn even more money. All in one place, and it's for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup looks like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. Best of all, it's totally free with no catch. Ever since we discovered Spotify for Podcasters, we feel like having options like video podcasts, Q&A, and polls has let us be creative on a whole other level. I highly recommend you give it a try. So download Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started.
Welcome to the X's and T podcast, where we talk about X's and T with your hosts, Corey
and Danny. Welcome back, everybody. We are so excited to be here. Corey's dog is also excited to be here.
He's trying to get in my lap right now.
So we're so excited, you guys. We have a special friend with us. This special friend, we're so excited to be talking to her today because she adds so much to tying up this Kyle story. She is an incredible young lady. She has so much to share. Please let us introduce our first ever guest.
Yay!
Kendra.
Hey everyone, I'm so excited to be a part of your guys' podcast. I feel like after telling my part of the story, it's just gonna be so much, especially compared to your guys's, because I feel like there's so much similarity and some things that are just so far gone. I'm just excited to talk about it and just expose Kyle for everything that he is.
Absolutely. So Kendra is the Kendra from our previous episodes. So first and foremost, Kendra, how's it going? If you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
It's going well, actually. I have been doing pretty good. I start school in a couple weeks. Got a cute little family going on with my cute little dog. Definitely thriving from where I was to where I am now.
That's awesome. We love it. And you just turned 21?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago. So exciting.
How has it been being 21?
It's been pretty good. I'm mostly excited about the Bloody Marys that I've been able to get when I'm out eating.
That's awesome.
Yeah, my boyfriend is always sending me to the store to get him some Zyn pouches. If you guys know what those are, they're like the little nicotine packs that go in your mouth.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never heard of those until just this moment right now.
Yeah.
I've never heard of them either.
Yeah, they're pretty popular, I feel like. If people aren't actually chewing tobacco, they're chewing the tobacco-free nicotine pouches.
Oh. Okay. That's awesome. All right. So, we're just going to kind of dive right into it. So, what is it that kind of compelled you to want to come and talk about your story?
I guess the main reason I want to talk about it is because I regret not talking about it sooner, if that makes any sense. When I was 17, I was keeping it a secret from everyone, and I feel like it would have saved me a lot of trauma if I would have just talked about it when investigators were asking me about it. And then I'm also hoping that telling my story will help maybe any younger listeners kind of get through, if they're going through any similar things, or anyone who's the same age, kind of cope with their trauma, because I feel like stuff like this happens way too damn much. And most girls that I know have so much trauma because of similar things like this. So I'm hoping that my story and even your guys' story helps people, kind of realize that it does get better.
No, absolutely. And thank you so much for your willingness to talk about it. I know it's not easy, especially once we kind of go into what your story actually looks like, the age that you were at the time, that's not an easy situation to deal with. So again, thank you so much for your willingness to
thanks
be
for
here.
having me.
Okay, so you knew Kyle. And so if you kind of start from the very, very beginning, how did you hear about Kyle, and how did you meet his parents? Because that's how you learned.
Yeah, so the first time I ever heard about Kyle was when I was working with his mom at this truck stop. I worked at the subway that was attached, and she worked at this truck stop part of it. And it was getting close to Kyle's release date because he was already in prison at this point. And his mom was just like hooting and hollering about how excited she was for her son to get out of prison, and like how excited she was for us all to meet him. And that's basically that. Yeah.
So proud.
Yeah,
for no
so
reason.
proud of him.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, that's how I first heard about him, was through his mother.
Wow. And his mom. So at this point, you're 16?
16, yeah. And I'll be turning 17 like that summer, so.
Wow. Okay, so this is we're talking about March of 2018 now. Kyle is now out of prison, and his parents are thrilled. They're so proud of their son for getting out of prison. What did his parents mention at all why he went to prison?
No, I don't recall them ever talking about why he went to prison, just that he was in there.
Ugh, that's gross. Okay. Okay, so what was it like for you the first time that you met Kyle?
So the first time I met Kyle was when I was leaving my shift from Subway, because I got off at like 7 in the afternoon, and that's when Kyle was starting his graveyard shift at the pumps. And so I was walking out the door, and there was this like super charming, handsome, like blonde-haired boy holding the door open for me, and it was Kyle, which I had no idea that he had already, started at this point. So I was just like, thank you, and he was like, no problem, like, super friendly. Like, I thought it was just a really nice gesture. But yeah, I thought he was like so handsome, so charming, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't know who this guy is. And then I like later found out that it was Kyle.
Corey's mom is cringing so hard right now. Wow. I mean, but it's true. I think that we can all agree that the first time we met Kyle, he was like probably one of the nicest people to us.
Yeah.
Very charismatic.
So charming. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah, like big Ted Bundy vibes. So charming, yeah. But you don't know the real truth behind that smile,
Exactly. He put up a really, really good front. So
Definitely pro at living a double life.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So we're in March of 2018. You're meeting Kyle for the first time. Did you guys kind of immediately develop a friendship? Like, what did that look like, you guys becoming friends?
Yeah, I would say we immediately kind of developed a friendship. Like, whenever I was working, he would always, happen to be there ordering food. And I would always happen to be the one making the sandwiches, just because, like, none of the grown-ups would ever work on the line, like, to make the sandwiches. They'd always just, like, sit in the back, which is fine, whatever. But yeah, he would always come through my work, and I would always give him like a free chocolate chip cookie, just to be friendly. And that's kind of where it took off, I guess. Like, he kept coming through, we kept talking, and every single time I'd leave after work, I would walk by the pumps and like, chit chat before I went home. And it was just a pretty regular thing for a pretty long time, until it, escalated further than that. But
okay, so you're developing this friendship, you're seeing him after work. Sounds pretty typical, right, of a friendship starting. So at this point in time, let's go to maybe like the beginning of the summertime, right? Just before you turn, because your 17th birthday would have been in June, right?
Yeah, June 24th.
Was there any mention of my son, me, or did you know anything about Corey?
No, there was no talk about like him being in a relationship. There was no talk about like kids. Like, as far as everyone knew, he was just like this single guy fresh out of prison with like no life before that.
That is a big yikes. So he and I were together at this point, and you wouldn't learn that until later. I think in June, I think the first time I had heard about you was, I think, around your birthday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I heard about you around your birthday. He started talking about this younger coworker that he became friends with, and that he had got you something small for your birthday. So what did that look like around the time of your birthday?
Yeah, so for my birthday, he actually got me a card and a cherry pie. And the card said a day late and $1 short, and the cherry pie was wrapped in like this cute pink wrapping paper.
Yeah, the pink wrapping paper. Oh, God. And the only reason that I know for sure that it was pink wrapping paper and what it looked like is because he had gotten me a number of things that he wrapped up in this pink wrapping paper as well. I'm not going to mention what any of these items are, but unfortunately they were items that I did not necessarily consent to having. So
You can use your imagination.
yeah. So around your birthday, what is your guys' relationship look like at that point?
So at this point, I'm pretty sure we hung out once outside of work, and I had told my dad that he was going to do my senior pictures because he was like a photographer in a sense, or at least claimed to be. But in reality, like, that was a lie. I just wanted to hang out like outside of, work. And so he had picked me up that morning. It was early as fuck because, he worked graveyard, got off at like 6 or 7 in the morning. And so we went out to a lake somewhere in the area. I'm not really sure which lake it was. But yeah, we obviously did some sexual activity in the truck.
Wow, so you guys were intimate before
Yeah.
you turned 17.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
Respectfully.
Yeah, it was like one of those things where he like made it sound like it was okay, and like being 16, 17, like it's so easy to manipulate,
Yeah.
He got what he wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And he knew how old you were. Like, that was very evident to him. He knew that you were, he was doing your high school senior year photos. So he knew that you were not of age.
Yeah, he knew I was not of age, especially since he had gotten me, a birthday card and a pie, and he knew exactly how old I was.
Wow. Okay. So what my knowledge of you was that you were this younger coworker that he had become friends with, and he had developed this friendship with you and kind of like took you under his wing as like a mentor brother kind of relationship.
Yeah, apparently.
That's what he told me. So in June, in June, he and I did this kind of, it was a long camping trip, like maybe a few days worth, and we did 5 waterfalls in 5 days, basically. So when he was camping with me, was he just not talking to you at all?
Yeah, whenever he was with you, or, anyone in general that was a female, basically, he would ghost me. Like, he would stop DMing me on Instagram, stop texting me, because at this point we had exchanged phone numbers or whatever. And yeah, he would just like completely ghost me, and then when he would get back, he would say like, "Oh, I was just like camping, I didn't have service," or like, "I tried texting you, why didn't you get it?" But it was a lie. Yeah, because I never had issues with my phone. It was always him. Yeah.
Yeah, he always had issues with his phone. Now we're kind of heading into July. I'm now pregnant at this point. Like, I found out I was pregnant mid-July. And so when did you find out about me?
So after, I think it was after your guys' like camping trip, he was showing me pictures of like the waterfalls that you guys saw, and he slid too far, and there was a picture of you. And I believe that your son was in the photo, but I don't remember. And he told me that it was just like some random girl who was at the waterfall, and you just like took her picture and then sent it to her later. But at this point I didn't know it was you, but that was the first time like I recall ever like actually being like, oh, like that's her, because later on I found like you guys were following each other on Instagram, and I was like, this is the same girl that was in that picture. And then after this, me and my best friend Robin, who was my coworker at Subway, we were planning a coast trip. And it was a pretty long trip. I think it was like 2 to 3 or 4 days. And we went to like different parts of the Oregon coast. It was pretty fun. But I had told Kyle about it, and he was like, oh, great, like I'm off those days. And he ended up tagging along. And then after we got back is when I found out that you were pregnant. So, like, this whole time, like, I didn't really hear much about you. Like, there was nothing about, like, him having, like, a girlfriend or anything. And so I was just, like, shocked, you know, to hear that, because we were talking this whole time up until that, you know, point when I found out.
Holy shit. Okay, so before this, did you know that he like threatened to unalive himself and I had to drive up there and like save his life? Did you know about that whole situation?
I did not know about that one in particular, but there were like several occasions where he was like, I just can't do life anymore. And like he was talking about like driving in front of a semi truck on the highway. And like, so he had talked to me several times about unaliving himself. And it was always super stressful. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So this beach trip, I kind of want to go back to that because, so I was, starting the process of getting a new job to work from home because I was pregnant, and I had found out literally like a week before this beach trip you had planned. And he and I had originally planned before this that I was going to start working from home. He was going to be there to kind of celebrate my last day of a in-person job, and this was kind of a little bit more freedom that I was going to have. And he ended up canceling on me. He was like, no, I want to go to the coast. I feel like I need to be by myself.
Typical. I feel like he did that so much.
And I felt so sick. Like, I didn't even go to my last day of work because I was not okay. I was just, by this point, so mentally effed up that there was just no coming back from that. So in August, it was around my mom's birthday. It was around the, like, beginning. I was in the hospital. I was in the emergency room, and because I couldn't eat, I couldn't like keep food down. I was very dehydrated, and I was pregnant. So I went there twice, 2 days in a row. And the second day that I was there, something told me to look in his email. I don't know why. I had access to it. He had me help him with his resume before he even started at the gas station. And when I was on there, I didn't realize how much information you can find on Gmail.
Yeah.
But you can find everything on a person's phone. And I had found his contact list. I knew your name. I knew who you were because you were this young coworker, right, that he became friends with. Well, I found your name. It said my Kendra, and it had a heart emoji. And my name, which had a heart emoji, no longer had that anymore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was devastating.
So what was your name? What did he change your name?
My name in his phone was Squeak.
Oh,
that was
well,
my nickname. It's just cringy, but it used to have like a couple of different like heart emojis by it, and then there were none.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so and then they were by her name. And I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And so I looked a little bit, like, that was the original, like, okay, I'm really suspicious of this. And that's when I found out, that's when I started having my suspicions. That's when I was like, okay, something more is going on here. So that weekend, that's when I found out about the beach trip. So what did this beach trip look like? How was he on this beach trip? I'm so curious.
So basically, like, when we left, I, like, let him know when we were leaving, just because, like, at this point, we were talking, like, pretty intimately. And so, like, when we left, he was, like, right behind us. Like, not right behind us, but, like, by the time we got to, like, Eugene, you know, to head to the coast, like, he had caught up to us at that point. So the first night of our trip, I think we stayed in Newport at, like, one of the campgrounds there that's, like, right on the beach. And he just, like, brought his tent, set up camp next to us, you know, and, like, I didn't sleep in the tent with him. I just slept in the tent with, like, my best friend and her brother, because we had gone together, and I was like, I'm not going to, like, ditch them, you know, for Kyle. Anyway, so with that, like, that at that campground in like particular, there is like showers on site, and so I was walking to take a shower, and he literally like ran and caught up with me and like was in there while I was like taking a shower. And he literally stayed in there the whole time. Yeah. And so then when we were leaving, he was trying to, I don't know, like do stuff, I guess. But like it's a public campground and there was people everywhere, but he didn't care. Like obviously did, you know, some stuff, but there's like without a doubt people probably saw or heard it. And so by the time we got to the back to our campground, our camp spot, I just like kind of went to bed and I told Robin about it. And she was like, you know, that's not okay. And she was not happy that he was there in the first place just because like it was our trip. But I was like, it's fine, you know, like just let it go. And then the next day we went to Lincoln City and we stayed at, I think, Devil's Lake campground in Lincoln City. And then like after that night we went to like the shopping mall there. And while we were there was a Levi's store that Kyle was absolutely like in awe with. Like he really wanted to go in there, but the catch to it was that me and Robin had to steal him pants. Yeah, and so we never did just because like it's probably pretty hard to steal a pair of pants, you know, like without a doubt we would get caught. Like the place was packed, there's cameras everywhere, like it just didn't happen. And he was pissed like that we did not get these pants for him. But like his temper tantrum was short-lived, which was good. And then after that we just like went to dinner with like me, Kyle, Robin, and her brother, and then we got a hotel room for the night. Stayed there, and then we left the next day, and that was kind of it for that coast trip.
He tried to get you to steal a pair of Levi jeans from the Levi store. This grown ass man is asking.
So side note to this. So because like you mentioned like stealing and stuff, and when we were together, like he was constantly like trying to steal stuff from like the stores. Like pretty much anytime we would go somewhere, he would always try to steal like stupid little things. Mostly when we went to like Walmart, he would steal like stuff that we could totally like afford to buy. Like it wasn't anything expensive. It was like paracord, or like sometimes it would be CDs or stuff like that. Like nothing expensive. But I do remember like one time we got in trouble together because one time I thought it would be a good idea too for me to get something, and I stole a fucking chapstick, and he like stuffed his pants full of like a bunch of different like paracord and stuff like that.
Oh God.
And Walmart had like these secret shoppers that would like go around and like watch people, and obviously they were watching us, but we didn't realize it. And then once we went to go leave, of course they're like, you need to come with us. So
oh God,
we like went with them and everything. It was so embarrassing. I like hated it. And yeah, so we got in trouble. Luckily they didn't like call the cops or anything, but they definitely called my mom.
Oh, no.
And ooh, my mom was scary.
Your mom is scarier than the police.
Yeah, literally. I was like, please don't call my mom. Please don't call my mom. I like begged them, and they're like, no, we got to call your mom because you're underage. And I was like, no.
That's so funny.
Oh my gosh. So you got caught stealing. Your mom is scary, dude.
Yeah.
Like I said, she's scarier than the police. Like,
yeah.
Corey's mom is terrifying.
That's why I literally like begged for them not to call my mom.
And what's funny too is that like, so I didn't have the same experience this way, but what I'm curious about is this is a 25-year-old grown ass man. He had turned 25 by this point, right? And he's asking these two 16 and 17-year-old girls to steal for him. He worked a full-time job. He wasn't paying rent. Where the fuck was his money going that he couldn't afford jeans?
Right. He never had money. Even like when him and I were together back in 2013, like I paid for everything, and all I did was babysit like after school. Like that's what my job was. And then obviously like my parents would give me money too, like if I needed more. But otherwise I paid for everything. We went on dates and I would pay for the date.
Right.
I would pay for everything. And like it's not like we went to Walmart with no money or anything. Like, if he wanted something, I would have bought it for him.
Same. Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, I think he would just take my money. I mean, I was stupid and created a bank account with him because I don't know why. I really don't have a valid reason other than I was a freaking stupid person for doing that.
I mean, you trusted him.
I did.
At one point, you know.
And he would use his card and he would buy shit just all the time with my money. He only had a job for about 2 months when we were together.
His jobs never lasted long.
Never at all. I just find it so funny that he's a grown-ass man asking these teenagers to steal him jeans.
Yeah, it's wild.
So I remember in one of the pictures I would later find that there was a log with your guys' initials. What was that about?
Yeah. Honestly, I have no idea. I was walking the beach, with what I thought was, Robin, her brother, and Kyle, but he was, behind us, and so I turned around and he wasn't there anymore. And he was walking towards, just dipping without even saying a word. But he was actually going to this huge, log/tree stump thing that was, down the beach a bit. And so Robin and her brother continued to be walking down. And so I turned around to catch up with Kyle. And by the time I got there, he had carved, our initials into this log. And he was, taking pictures of it. And, at the time, I was like, oh, that's a sweet gesture, he was trying to be cute, whatever, and in my eyes as a 17-year-old girl, I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. But I didn't ask him to do it. He just
I would too. I don't blame you.
Yeah, absolutely. So after this beach trip, he ghosted me the entire weekend. My anxiety was through the fucking roof. I can't even express just how not okay I was this weekend because I knew something was off.
Right.
My intuition, man, you don't fuck with a girl's intuition. We know.
We become FBI agents.
Yes, we absolutely do. And so when he had come back was around the time that I found your name in his contacts, right? So I drove up there, and this whole weekend I spent at his house because I'm pregnant at this point, and he's texting you and your friend Robin the entire time that I'm there. And he's hiding his phone. He's changing the lock screen because I got into it one time and read some of the messages, and your friend Robin was yes, she's pregnant, but she's controlling your life and you need to tell her to go away and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he had totally convinced us all that he was this great person,
Yeah.
Up until he wasn't anymore. I guess I'm just gonna jump ahead really quick, but he would start to tell Robin how attractive she was.
And she was younger than you, right?
Yeah, and he even told her that, if he could, he would,
be with her.
Have sex with her.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Yeah, and she actually was if you can't, control him, basically, I don't want anything to do with you while you're with him.
Yeah.
And I was whatever, screw you, basically.
Yeah.
And it sucks because, we were such good friends, attached at the hip, she was basically my, twin flame. But we don't even talk anymore, which really sucks.
Right.
But, yeah, she actually, told her parents, and her parents called my dad and was what the fuck?
Wow.
Okay, yeah, her parents went in for the kill.
No way.
I mean, at least somebody was doing something at that point.
Yeah.
Shout out to Robin's parents.
I'm actually, fuck Robin's parents because they're
At that
actually,
point,
Yeah.
Yeah, at that point, shout out. But to this day, they can kindly fuck off.
Okay.
But,
for what they tried to do to help, as parents did, that's more than any of the other adults.
Yeah.
I mean, not to say anything about your dad because he didn't know, and all the other adults around you guys really fucking failed.
Yeah.
They really failed you guys.
Even his mom was encouraging your guys'
She did.
relationship, and she knew you were underage. Obviously, that's not an okay thing.
No, not at all. So when I went there this point in time, and what's relevant, and I'm actually really glad that you brought that up because when I was there this same weekend that I found everything out, I was with Stacy getting gas at the Chevron that she worked at this point because she had been fired from the other gas station across the street. She was talking to somebody that she had worked with, and they were talking about you and Kyle. like, they're like, can you believe that this happened? Like, this is like, it was a rumor that all the adults knew about, but nobody was doing a damn thing about it. And she would say to my face, like, oh, we're going to get this handled. Like, you're right. Like, it's not okay. But then she would do nothing. She would do absolutely nothing.
Yeah, they literally, like, were so different to you versus me. Like, I feel like all of the adults were so supportive, especially at Chevron, because, like, my family didn't work there, so they were able to, like, talk about it. And, like, yeah, they were so supportive of it.
That's just weird.
Kind of, like,
that is weird.
Yeah.
See, the thing...
They're just nosy.
They are. So that weekend, right, I'm there and I'm going through all of this extreme abuse at this point. Like, it was awful. It was physical abuse. It was SA. Like, it was an awful weekend for me.
That's horrible.
So, on the day that I'm supposed to leave, I actually didn't have to leave. I could have stayed one more day.
Yeah.
And I tried to stay one more day. I don't know why I did, but I wanted to stay so bad because I knew all this stuff was happening and I felt if I could stay, I could stop it.
Yeah.
And on the last day was the day that you guys had planned to go to the state fair.
Yeah.
And that's the first time you and I met in person ever.
Uh-huh.
And
I complimented your freckles.
you did. You did. And you said how adorable I was because you didn't realize how short I was.
Yeah.
So for reference, Kendra's like giant and Corey and I are little.
Yeah, I'm a whopping 5'10", and they're tiny.
So Corey, how tall are you?
I'm 4'11".
Okay, Corey's shorter than me even, but I'm 5 foot on the dot. So
Basically almost a whole foot taller than Corey. Isn't that so wild?
yeah, she's so tall. When we were in Oregon, actually, we had all met up together, which was so fun. We kind of all, like, I'd met you before that, obviously, and you and we actually met another time, remember?
And I complimented your freckles. You remember that?
Yeah, and I met your significant other, and he was just so nice.
He's a good one.
I'm so happy that you guys are still together. He's so cool. But that was the first time we had ever met in person at all. And so at this point, what was your knowledge of me being there? And why in his words, was I there?
I think he had mentioned that you were there because, like, you were pregnant with his baby, and like you were in town for that reason, I believe. I don't really remember, but I just remember that like he told me that you were going to be dropping him off to meet up with us, and I was with, you know, my 16-year-old best friend at the time. Horrible.
I was pregnant. When did you find out that I was pregnant, and what was your reaction?
I found out that you were pregnant shortly after, I think, the coast trip that we had gone on. And we were outside by the trash cans per usual, and he told me, and I just, like, my eyes watered a little bit just because, like, I was just like, we've been talking for like a minute now, you know, like, how could this possibly have happened? But it's because he was with you while he was with me, and like I just had no idea.
Yeah, absolutely. So, have you had an opportunity to go check out our Instagram messages? The ones that we post on Instagram?
Yeah.
Did you see that he was begging me to get pregnant?
Yeah.
And you had no idea?
Yeah. I had no idea. He told me that I would be so cute if I was pregnant, but he never, like, was like, I'm gonna get you pregnant, you know? But I was always like, that's so weird, like, because I to this day could never picture myself ever, like, having a kid anyways. So it's just like, I was kind of just like grossed out when he said that, because A, I was still in high school, B, I had my whole life ahead of me, and so it was just like really off-putting.
One of the things that I can truly say that I still admire about you is just how, what's the word? Like, you're so ambitious. Like, you in high school were like a volleyball star. You were like the talk of the town. And I know this because I Googled you. I was very like, I stalked you for a while because I needed right. And I needed answers and I wanted to know. But you are a fantastic person. Like, especially at this point when I knew of you, I was like, man, she's going places. Not to say that you're not, you're in those places. Like, you're doing fantastic. But like, I just remember thinking back then, I'm like, dude, this girl is going to go so far. Please do not fuck this up for her.
Right. Yeah.
So you're in your senior year of high school. You're entering now. So after the fair, when I drove home, I don't know if you knew this or not, but I like logged into his email again, and I logged into his Instagram.
Yeah, I actually remember this because we were on the Ferris wheel and he started to freak the fuck out because he got the notification that was like, was this you? And it's like, someone logged into your, accounts or whatever. And he was like, literally shitting himself. It ruined the Ferris wheel ride, but I'm glad it did.
Right. Oh, man.
That's funny.
Yep. There was that day I logged in his Instagram. And he was really good at deleting everything on Instagram. There were not very many messages. There was one that I screen capped that actually, what's funny is I still have it. It's just in old emails and stuff that I had sent to detectives back when. But I kept it for that reason. I was like, something's going to happen. I need this information. Right. But it was that day that I found all the pictures of you guys at the coast together. Yeah. And I can say I lost it. I immediately, I'm on my way home. And what's so funny is on my way home, some guy, pulled up next to me in Sandy on my way home and, yelled at me because, he thought I was, tailing him or something. And then a bunch of other people called the police. It was a whole situation. Yeah, people were, defending me because I was by myself with my kid. I'm shaking. I'm pregnant. Leave me alone. And the police officer was just it sounds like he's just... nothing happened. Yeah, he's going through it or whatever, and you're going through it. I'm like, I'm pregnant, leave me alone, But when I was there, I called my friend who I worked with at the time, and I was like, can you please come over? I'm not okay. And she did. She met me at my house after I got home, and I'm sitting there in the living room. I think her significant other at the time was there as well. But her aunt was a private investigator. And she sent her aunt this information and was like, we need information on this guy. We need to know what's going on. Wow. Yeah. So nothing ever came of that because I ended up just being she helped us report it to the police, but that was about it. But that's when I knew. That's when I knew something was going on. That's when all of my suspicions were confirmed. I was like, I knew it. And so this is August when this happens. So you're entering your senior year of high school. What does that look like for you? You're now in this relationship. You're entering high school. And around this time as well, is your social medias were always public. You were such a bubbly, upbeat person on social media and always public. And around this time, it started to go private. So what was all of that like? Starting school and then hiding this?
It was horrible. My senior year definitely got taken away from me. Most of the things that I would regularly enjoy, I couldn't because Kyle always, he just wouldn't allow you guys know, he wouldn't allow you to do the things that you enjoyed the most, It was always, what he wanted to do. But, I was still doing sports or whatever just because, that was basically my personality in high school was sports this, sports that. That's all I did.
Being with you, he started to develop this really irrational dream of playing football in community college.
He literally told me that he was a football star when he was in high school. I know. And the reason I actually found that out is because he told me that he was a football star at Mountain View. And I regularly was at Mountain View High School playing volleyball tournaments. And I would look at their award section and there was never anything about him up there. If you're a part of a team, it would show every single person who's on the team, never him.
He's a cat liar.
Yeah, he played but he quit. Yeah. That's the story I got from his parents.
A short time.
Yeah, really not long at all.
Yeah, and he had this dream of being a wide receiver. Such a weirdo. But yeah, he was always football this, football that. Anyways, he would always try to be better than me at things, at volleyball, at basketball. He tried to be better than me. Super weird. Just let me enjoy it,
Yeah, nobody can ever be better than him. It becomes a competition.
Oh, yeah.
And that's so sad because you were so fucking good from what I understand. You were the shit. That was my understanding. So I'm glad you still did sports though. Like, I'm glad that he didn't take that from you, because him doing that could have seriously diminished your self-esteem to where you could have quit.
Yeah, which I don't think I ever would have. Like, honestly, like, nothing would have made me quit. But yeah, he was, like, always weird about me wearing, like, my volleyball uniform. And, like, he would talk about how, like, people would, like, probably be looking at my butt because my spandex were, like, spandex, you know, like... Yeah, and he would always make remarks about how, like, he didn't like that I had to wear that because probably, like, all these other grown men are looking at me while I'm playing. Yeah.
That's
no, just
gross.
you
Yeah.
sicko.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it was very unhealthy.
Yeah, and your senior year was very similar as far as taking it away from you, right?
Yeah, I was pregnant.
Oh my God. So when did you start to make your social medias private, and why did you make that decision?
I think it was... Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I don't know what, like, when, but I remember doing it because, like, I didn't really want anyone to know. Like, I wanted to have, like, a happy, like, public relationship, you know, like, that's what every high schooler wants. But I knew that I couldn't do that just because, like, at this point, I'm pretty sure he was, like, you know, having issues with you. And I was like, I don't want anything to do with her. So, like, I'll make mine, like, private or, like, not post things that I would regularly post. And then he was also being, like, creepy to Robin. And, like, I didn't want her to, like, keep up with anything, you know, that we had going on. And so, like, basically I just, like, stopped using it, I think, like, for the most part. Yeah, just because, like, I was just trying to keep everything secret because he told me that, like, it needs to stay private, it needs to be secret. And, like, yeah, he basically would say, like, if, you know, anyone finds out about this, like, there's gonna be, like, issues, basically. Like, he would, like, threaten me, but, like, not as aggressively at that point.
Yeah. Like, attack, basically.
Yeah.
That's so sad. So when did you know I knew?
Yeah, when we went to fair, like, I don't know, I just remember, like, you called him and you're like, I told your mom that you're going to fair with her. And that's kind of when I knew, like, you were not going to stop.
Yeah. Fair enough.
You were relentless.
Fair enough. I was. I really was. And I'm not sorry about that.
Yeah, I don't think you should be sorry.
Wow.
At the time, probably Kendra was like, dude, leave me alone. But,
Right,
like,
right.
Yeah. I would, like, tell people you were harassing me. I'm like, this girl is, like, stalking me and harassing me. Yeah, basically. But now I'm like, thank God, actually.
Again, I'm not sorry that I did stalk you. It was with the best of intentions.
No, you shouldn't be. You were a concerned, grown-ass woman who saw this, you know, grown man manipulating a minor, like a child. So, like, I would have done the same thing.
No, absolutely. And so at this time, so in September, you're starting school. And did he tell you the gender of our baby? Like, was that something he ever, like, did he ever talk about he and I having a child together? Nothing?
No, I think the only time I heard about, like, what the gender was when you had just told me.
Wow. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Because, so his mom didn't even go around saying anything about this child.
Mm-mm.
Dear God. Like, they tried so hard to make me feel so bad for, like, you promised you'd never take our grandkids away from us. And it's like, they never cared.
No.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
Definitely don't.
So, okay.
Even with their first grandchild, they didn't care.
Right, which is sad. They never give a fuck about either of their grandkids, but they'll try their best to make us feel bad.
Oh, yeah. They'll make it look like they care, but they don't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
They give
absolutely.
Zero effort.
So, towards this, now we're going towards the winter time, and, you know, okay, so there's one story that I remember. when Kyle's car was stolen.
Oh my.
What did you hear about that?
So like that whole time while he was with you, he didn't text, didn't call, like nothing. Like he was back on his ghosting me bullshit. And then like later that night, the night you drove him back because he had to work, he had told me that his car was stolen. But he told me that he didn't tell me he was in Portland. I think he told me that he was in like Beaverton or something, like something weird. And yeah, like somebody stole it, and that I think he told me that he had borrowed like his mom's friend's car to get to work, and like he made it very clear that he did not get a ride from you.
That's not true. Yeah, I drove him back after that. That's so funny.
Yeah, because I actually caught him in a lie that night because he had mentioned how you dropped him off, even though the whole time he was telling me, like, over messages that it wasn't you, it was someone else. And then, like, he had let it slip that you did. And I was just like, what? Like, that's kind of weird. But it made sense. It made perfect sense. Because it's Portland. Everybody's freaking cars get stolen there.
Where I lived was, oh God. Yeah, especially the type of car that he had, because he had ended up buying his own car, surprisingly enough.
Yeah, he got that Subaru from one of my dad's friends.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. He just told me he found it randomly on Craigslist.
Oh, wow. Nope, he got it from one of my dad's friends.
That's crazy. Oh my goodness. And this was around the time. So, he got a dog from you. How did that go, that he got this dog from you?
Dad's dog had an accidental litter, and like she spit out like 12 puppies and we had a lot of puppies on our hands. We were like, how are we gonna get rid of them? And I thought that this puppy was just like so cute, and he had seen the puppies because my dad like had pictures or whatever, and he had always talked about like getting one, and I was like, you should just take her, like name her Cabela, take Cabela with you. And then he like finally ended up getting her, and I think that I actually brought her over to Pilot before his shift ended. And yeah, he just took her home, and that's kind of how that happened.
Crazy. So his parents talk so much shit about this dog. His parents hated
Which is
this
funny
dog.
because
the ones
I was under the impression that they loved this dog. Like his mom would always talk about how great this dog was.
Nope, she would complain every time that she had to take care of Kyle's dog. Because, yeah, and there was the same thing with Chevy. He didn't get permission from the people that he lived with.
No, we just brought him home.
Yeah, and they would end up taking care of him. And it's funny now because Cabela is no longer with even his parents, right?
No.
He's with his sister, Christina.
She was for a little bit, but now she's with Christina's like mother-in-law, I guess I could say. I don't think she's married, but she's like engaged to the son. But yeah, they took the dog because Christina is just like in no place to ever have a dog.
Right. Oh no, I agree for sure. So in the wintertime, you and I actually had a conversation. So I'm sitting here like kind of going through my pregnancy and having just a very hard time. Kyle and I are like at the very, very end of our relationship. So I think the thing that kind of really like was a catalyst into me ending things with Kyle entirely and knowing everything now is that I was creeping on your Facebook page and I saw your new updated picture, and it was a photo of you in my jacket. And nobody else would have recognized this jacket. Nobody would have known. Nobody would have been the wiser because I gave it to him. And this was a jacket that had that I had my work logo on, and you had a ring on your ring finger. So what is this story? What is he? So can you explain all of that? Did he take that picture of you?
No, my sister did. We like went out because I was like, let's go take snow pictures because it was like the first snow and it was really nice. Like the sun was shining. It was just beautiful. So we went out and took some pictures. I took some of her. She took some of me. And like that was that. But the ring, gosh, I don't remember when he gave it to me. I think it may have been like either before Christmas or like around Christmas. But yeah, he ordered it on Amazon and just gave it to me as like a promise ring, you know.
That's devastating because I begged him for a
Really?
ring and he would never.
Oh my
He told me he didn't have
God.
the money for
Yeah,
it.
I found this ring on Amazon. It was like $100. Funny story though. After like everything, I ended up going to a pawn shop and pawning it for like $25, just because I needed some gas money. I was like, hell yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, I sold mine too.
That's so fun. Yeah, you were engaged to him too.
Yeah.
Did you ever know that? Did you know that Corey and him were engaged? Good God. And what was his story about Corey?
So basically, I had confronted him because I saw a picture of Corey's baby on Facebook, and I was like, this looks just like him. Like, I asked everyone. I asked Robin, and she was like, that looks just like him. And so I asked him about it, and he literally said, she slept with somebody who looked just like me.
God.
It's not my baby. Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's not true.
And that was kind of like the end of it. Like, he said, like, you know, like, she cheated on me, this and that, and basically made
I
her out
wasn't
to
the
be...
one cheating on
yeah.
in our relationship.
No, absolutely
That was
not.
all him.
Oh God.
I feel like that's, like, a pattern at this point. Like, he was always the one doing this shit. No one else ever was.
Yeah.
We're not the problem.
Okay. I think right now would be a good time to kind of wrap it up.
We're gonna leave you on a cliffhanger.
We're really excited because we didn't realize just how much we were going to have to talk about. I mean, are you shocked with how much you remembered?
Yeah, I literally haven't thought about any of this for such a long time. Like, it's been how many years?
4.
Like 3? Yeah.
So it's been 2 since he was sentenced.
So, like...
And it's been 3 since he was arrested. For me, it's been almost 4 since
so,
I
like,
stopped talking to him. So you're right, 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely, like, shoved a lot of this shit down. And, like, I'm the type of person to just make jokes about my trauma. And so, like, I haven't actually thought about it in a minute. So I'm just like, holy shit. Like, it's kind of exciting, but it's also, like, horrible.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, you guys, for joining us today. We'll catch you guys on the next episode where I promise we'll finish it all up. But where can they follow us, Corey?
You can check us out on Instagram at xsnt_podcast and TikTok at also xsnt_podcast.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Bye.